for WOCA. All right, 24 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Turn off the silly, turn on the serious, and in just a little bit, Robin and Galen will be both back in the studio with us. Galen is folding the American flag, and we'll be putting it into a triangular box, so I'm very appreciative of the fact that he's doing that for me. Right now, though, this is the Open for Debate segment, and it's Friday, which means I do not bring a topic to the program. I ask you to do that. Try to bring something debatable, something we can have perhaps a differing of opinion. Sometimes it's amazing the things that you think there wouldn't be a second side to or a third side to. There are, and passionate sides too, and it is what makes our country great, because the whole idea of having more than one opinion that can be freely expressed and then decided upon, or maybe amended a little bit because of the other intelligent argument in the whatever situation may be. That's what makes us great, I truly believe. So let's go to the phone. The phone number, by the way, is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 352-622 WOCA. Good morning. Is this Sonny?
Yep.
I heard it was you. Good morning, Sonny. Here first.
All right. I would like to bring up a topic that's either apolitical. In other words, the Democrats and Republicans are up to their eyebrows in this deal, along with a lot of bureaucrats, etc., etc. It seems everything the country is doing, or the government is doing to our country, is to devalue and replace the dollar with some other currency. Right now, the only thing that more or less precludes that is the fact that the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. And there's more and more noise about that coming from all over, saying that we shouldn't be the reserve currency anymore for the world. But we still should continue keeping the world free, putting our soldiers all over the place, but yet the value of our country to the point where we could wind up being a third world country. I mean, there is no manufacturing to speak of other than, when I say that, I don't mean there is no manufacturing, but the manufacturing that we had 20 years ago, there is no comparing that. We have no manufacturing. Yeah, we assemble cars. Parts come in from all over the world, and they're assembled here, i.e. Ford or GM. GM, I understand, is going to be building cars in China for and exporting them from China to here. Well, we gotta take our country back, and they're doing us in via our currency. If we're the world's reserve currency, why is it the euro is worth 30 cents more than the American dollar? I mean, since it's a European Union, you would think it would be at least on par. But yet, how many thousands of troops do we have over there in Europe to defend their European Union currency, their standard of kumbaya or whatever? Wonderful. You don't have to go through customs when you get on a train in England and you wind up in Berlin. But that's marvelous, but that's their problem, too.
Yeah, I don't have any debate with what you're saying. I guess the only point that's a talking point for me is it's not really a debate per se, but it's the idea that if we indeed are losing our factories to other countries, I think it's double blame is due here. Part of the blame is the fact that they can have cheaper labor in the other countries. And the other part of the blame is the regulations that they have to adhere to when they're here.
All right. Like I said, past, I was to a Dollar Tree store opened up, a new Dollar Tree store. And I went in there just, out of curiosity more than anything else. I'm looking at the stuff and I was amazed at how many things, products, little handy items
Yeah.
made in the USA and selling for the same price as the item that's made in Vietnam or Korea.
Well, and I guess that's another part of what we can do as everyday citizens is try as best as you can to buy stuff that's made in America if you can find it.
But this so-called free trade, which was basically started back.
Oh, nice.
Well, the big one was the free trade with actually goes back past Reagan, but now Nixon started that really. But now we're not only going free trade, we're encouraging giving away stuff. We give stuff away, i.e. foreign aid, whether it's food or clothing or whatever, and we don't even make sure it gets to the people.
Yeah.
We turn around.
I'm not going to argue that either.
We turn around and dump it there in the port, and the hoodlums take over, and the next thing you know, the stuff we gave away free, they're selling back to us.
Issues, real good issues. I'm not debating any of it. All right. Let me get somebody else on, Sonny.
Wait a minute. One thing, last thing is we got to, everybody should be aware of what's going on, and this is being condoned, if not instigated, by the crowd that's in Washington. It makes no difference whether there's a R or a D in front of their names. Thank you.
There you go.
Weekend.
Okay, I can't debate that either. I think there are good and bad people on both sides. And by bad people, I mean just incompetent. Good morning, you're on the air.
Well, it is a good morning. It's a beautiful day, and we got to hear Galen this morning.
Galen is back in the studio, and if you look at the streaming, you'll see the beautifully folded flag that is now in its forever home.
That was hard. Hey, Pete.
Galen, you have one of the quickest wits of anybody I know.
Again, it doesn't pay that well sometimes.
Larry.
Yes.
What topic that you discussed earlier this week do you feel did not get a full discussion? Because I want to talk about something you want to talk about.
Oh my goodness.
It's all about you, Larry.
What topic did we talk about earlier this week? You know, the one we talked about yesterday yesterday where we kind of wondered if maybe this whole idea of limiting the number of voters that have volunteered to help to 10 might not have been a real idea as much as it was a ploy to get the politicians to vote against something else. Right? That was it.
I heard that discussion. That was an interesting discussion.
Of course, I don't know that that's true, but you have to wonder about that one. I mean, why would they limit it to 10?
Well, first of all, let me say, I think that's typical boneheaded Florida legislature. These people we send up there come up with these just absolutely screwball ideas because they feel like they have to do something.
Right.
And that's just another idea that wasn't very well thought out, and the enforcement on it would be a nightmare. It's just typical Florida legislature, and I'm sure the legislature in every other state is the same thing, Georgia or whatever.
But even if it didn't need to be enforced, in other words, even if it was being adhered to a T by the people running the precincts, you got the 11th person coming in. They only have one volunteer. The 11th person that needs help is sitting in her wheelchair waiting for some help, and they tell her, I'm sorry, you can't vote. The volunteer has gone home.
Well, that's why the gentleman or lady who proposed that legislation is up in Tallahassee and not running a multi-million-dollar corporation because they didn't think that's true.
There you go. That's right.
You know,
But there is a larger issue at stake here, and that is the potential for the corruption of our elections. And that's one of the things that you see in third world countries, and I don't want to say that we're headed there, but if you look at in the last couple of elections, all the stuff that's been going on, and I'm not going to go through the whole litany of it because I don't want to start a partisan, flame war here, but when you have precincts that have more than 100% of the voters tallied and stuff like that, and you have people walking up and just casting a ballot with very little supporting documentation and things like that. This is what dictators do when they end up with 99% of the vote, like Saddam Hussein used to get. And I'm not saying we're there now, but if our process of our elections is corrupted, we're in serious trouble. And I think these idiotic laws that they're proposing are going to do more harm than good. We had a good system that we had free and fair elections, and I think we go back to the basics, and the more laws that you try to pass, and we all know every law has unintended consequences, and every time they try to pass a law, they just seem to make things worse.
Yeah, yeah. And when they try to do it as an amendment to the Constitution, whether it's the state or the national, or the federal Constitution, federal, national, it is is uneasy. It's not easy to undo. That's what I want to say.
Well, we have early voting. We have absentee ballots. The polls are open 12 hours a day. There's no excuse for someone to say that they had difficulty casting a ballot. There's just absolutely no excuse, and there were very well publicized incidents in the last election where people had to wait 5 hours. Well, that was all for the TV camera.
But the thing is this, and here's the part I have to say about that. Okay, I agree with you, but there's a lot of people who disagree with us. And let's say that they really have a good argument. I don't see it, but let's say, give them the benefit of the doubt that they've got some really good, sound reasons. They really believe that you need to have Sundays, you need to have 12 days, etc. Okay. They make their point stronger, and our legislators decide, yeah, this is what we should do. We should have 12 days. Put it into this bill so we can vote on it. And then, in the same bill, you put in this stupid 10 people per volunteer rule that you're going to definitely vote again. Who would vote for that? Right? So you're going to kill something that people want, that they think is important, even though you and I disagree with it, Pete. But you're going to kill that thing that was supposed to be the more important part because of this stupid thing. I can't imagine anybody arguing for. And nobody did. When we brought it up yesterday, nobody argued that particular thing.
Well, I think that goes back to what we were talking about, that the more laws they pass about elections or about any other darn thing, the more laws they pass, the more complicated they make it. And they just keep throwing more and more money just into the machinery. I think people think that by passing a law that they're going to fix something. Well, if they pass the law that you get 10 people, and then they're just going to have more volunteers or whatever. I mean, these advocacy organizations. I'm not, on the left and the right. I'm not going to point fingers just at the unions or whatever. On these advocacy organizations, if you made it, they could only help one person. Then they'd have 100 volunteers. They're going to mobilize their people either way. So passing laws just complicates things. Let's just let people vote. Let's have early voting. If, a set number of hours, a set number of days, or whatever. And I'll tell you something else, Larry. If they said that there's going to be 100 days of early voting, then somebody from one of the political parties is going to come out next year and say, no, we need 101 days.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. Yeah. Right.
So it's like, and they have an insatiable appetite for laws and for power. I've talked too long. I'll let somebody else get on. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Pete.
I will chime in. I think everybody on this subject agrees that you have to have the opportunity to vote.
Yeah.
Right, and more opportunity is better. I haven't talked to anybody who thinks that early voting is bad. Right?
No, but
and I remember when it came out, I'm like, wait, that's going to take away the election day. What is it going to do the process? Because we all hate change.
Right.
But I think the early voting, I did it. I'm like, that's the best thing ever. And you're right. There's a lot of laws that are just passed for nothing more than, oh, look, I got that law passed. Not all laws are bad, but typically less is better.
But
we had some laws in the books that for voting that prevented people from actually having the right to vote. And it took us hundreds of years to get that removed. So I think it's...
But you know what it's like? This 10...
That 10 is just ridiculous.
This 10 people per volunteer rule. This is what it's like. It's like you want to be in the parade, okay?
Yeah.
And you want to get your float in the parade, and the float committee is, I'm not sure. And it's say, well, we're pretty much in favor of it. And then somebody says, let's put a trailer on the float that has a naked woman on it.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to say, oh, no, you can't have that in our parade. Well, then you can't have the float. And that's what's happening here. They're going to say, no, you can't have this thing where one volunteer for 10 handicapped people, whoever would qualify for needing help.
I just don't. You want to know how a law like that even started.
Because they wanted to undo the float in the parade.
Yeah, that's right.
They wanted to get the big thing out of it.
It's up there with the toilet paper law. Remember the the toilet paper law? The guy wanted to propose that if you didn't have toilet paper, that you would be fined.
Yeah, remember that wanted to make you get paid if you wore a Coca-Cola or any shirt that had a
yes,
brand.
yes, the merchandising brand. I remember that.
Good morning, you're on the air.
It's going to cost us billions.
Sonny. I don't know, but what really sticks out on my mind is in 2012 we had the election for president, and you can't tell me all the supervisors of election didn't know what they were doing or whatever. There's only certain areas where the lines for people voting were on the block, long lines here, very crowded conditions. That couldn't be because a lot of people showed up at the very last minute with their registration forms and then their desire to vote. The supervisor of elections these things, and they didn't know how many people they anticipate to vote, and they set up polling places accordingly with the number of machines. So to me, there was something wrong when all of a sudden you had a lot of different polling places all around the country where there were lines.
Do you
you really think all the supervisors of elections where there were lines were that stupid that didn't know enough to set up additional polling places, or maybe it could be something else?
Do you remember the one that brings out to my mind in the last election is the one that was held at UCF? Remember there was a long line at one of the polling places on the University of Central Florida campus.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
No.
Well, there was all kinds of TV coverage. Just as an example, we can't give you the election results because they're still voting.
Okay.
They kept the polling place open late. Rightfully so. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. But it turned out afterwards that over half the people in line were in line with somebody else who was voting, and they weren't voting. So it's like, come wait in line with me.
Yeah, right.
So it looked like there were thousands and thousands of people in line, but in reality, there was one person voting. There were 5 people with them. So
that's the point. I mean,
you know, and yeah, you're absolutely right, Sonny. I mean, it's and again, there's a lot that's done for political show, and but at the same time, and I'm gonna take the other side of this. when you see a line of people waiting, to me it's like good for them. Good. You know, you should understand that this is a small price for you to pay.
Yeah.
To be able to exercise your rights.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it does get ridiculous. I know that there are times where the machines came down. I mean, you're going to have a problem. I mean, nothing is perfect. But, you know, you do have all the opportunities you need.
All right, let me let somebody else on.
The point was that the number of various polling places had these long lines. When I went to vote, and I vote every year, there's no line.
Yeah, there's
I
no line.
walked in, I went up to the first desk, I showed my ID, I showed my voter identification card. Bingo, they gave me the ballot, and they said, oh, you can go over to that one over there. They, you know.
Yeah, that's usually my experience too.
Yeah, I early voted. It took me 5 minutes.
Thank you, Sonny. Let me let somebody else on.
I mean, this is something everybody, I think, should think about. Have a good day.
All the time.
There you go. Good morning.
That
you're on the air.
or being a metrosexual. Those are two very interesting.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hey.
Aren't you glad I'm here?
Hey,
Yes.
somebody else finally got a chance to talk.
Hey. How you doing?
Hey, I think that some of the thought behind your deal about only help 10 people, I believe that some voting precincts, Miami, I think, comes to mind, there was some thugs that hung around there that actually was threatening people and maybe even volunteering to go in and help them vote and influencing them maybe in an intimidating way. That if they limited that to 10 persons, well, if they do that and that law passes, they're going to have several people waiting their turn to do the same thing.
But you understand that you can't just walk up and volunteer. You have to be a trained volunteer.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, there's a process to
in
that.
order to accomplish their goal, they would be willing to forego that training. Was that they?
Well, yeah, but if they violate the rules of their training, they have to be supervised too.
That's correct.
And I know this because I didn't volunteer for everybody. I volunteered for Doug. And I had to sign this paper, and I had to read it, and I had to understand that I cannot influence his vote in any way. There was a long list of rules. That's
dumb because there's probably some places that maybe only one person might show up there to be a volunteer all day.
That's right.
And is willing to stay all day and help people.
That's right.
He's a good person.
That's why this.
But now he can wait on 10 and nobody will be there to wait on the rest.
That's my feeling. Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to vote against it if I get it.
Okay.
Well, then we'll vote for you to go to the office.
But see, the bigger picture is this something somebody really wanted? Or was it only put in there like the trailer behind the float that I described earlier? Was it just a way to get the whole float out of the parade?
And then I think line item veto so that you can get rid of
yes.
Not a big
stuff.
I don't know.
And vote on the main issue and stop this port from riding along.
Yeah. No, I don't think it belongs in the bill. All right, thank you. I appreciate it, Dennis. All right, we do have a phone line, I think. Yes. Good morning. No, what is it? All right, the number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline 622-9622. You see, I have a new. It's not a button anymore. It's a switch now.
Oh, wow, I see that.
Dan and Joe worked an entire 2 days on this project.
Really? There's some serious engineering there.
Phone technology is very complicated.
It really is. I just push a button and magic happens.
Well, you can weave a rope. Good morning, you're on the air.
I do have a smart phone, Larry.
On your topic, I just caught the trail end, but with the early voting and all that.
Yeah.
Well, what I find funny is I remember when I started voting many years ago, even up until recently, I don't remember having the problem with people not being able to vote, being disenfranchised.
Mm.
Everybody that wanted to vote voted on the day that they were to vote, and that was it. Only since we've had this early voting stuff, it's kind of gone a little crazy and haywire, but I don't ever recall having a problem even in the news.
It's been a problem that's existed
Well,
since we started.
and we can debate that, and that's what our legislators are supposed to be doing, is debating that. But if they've come to a conclusion about that, and then throw the whole thing out, well, he hung up, and then throw the whole thing out because there's something else in the bill that doesn't make any sense. Then what was all of the debate for? I mean, this is a strategy to not let it go through at all. It's not let it even be voted on.
I mean, I think we can all agree that voter turnout is diminishing year after year after year. And that's what we really need to figure out. Why are people becoming disenfranchised? You know, why are people becoming less and less likely
still,
to buy?
if it's a level playing field and you're disenfranchised, well, I should have been too. Right?
Yeah, in theory.
Yeah.
Absolutely, in theory.
But I've said 100 times that I could be wrong. My opinion could be wrong. I will leave it up to the legislature to make that decision. But how are they going to make that decision if they've got this other anchor weighing them down?
Yeah, I agree. If we were to separate this bad piece of law, then it would make it easier. But I do believe that there's a large population out there that is disenfranchised with the voting system.
Yeah.
Whether it's because of a lack of education, whether it's a lack of trust, whatever that is, and part of our government's responsibility is to get that trust.
We'll squeeze one more. Good morning. You'll be the last call.
Okay, I've been listening to some of it this morning, Larry. I'm one of these people that I wish they had some kind of a test to qualify to vote. Now that I'd probably go like a lead balloon. I'm telling you the truth. Things have gotten so complicated, and so much money is thrown in the mix where people are. They can go out and buy votes, SEIA, and all of it. We know that for the ones that's disenfranchised, the lady spoke of her just a second ago, there's other people that voted 3 and 4 and 8 and 10 times, and even admitted. I mean, that should be a felony to do that, but nobody's ever punished for it. So, you know, right, we got everybody can vote, and they so is misinformed. I'm telling you, most people voting right now don't think know how many senators that we have, or anything about the government or anything, but they know where the gravy train is. So if it's got a D behind the name, vote for it. You see that? So anyway, I just wish there's some kind of a test that somebody had to take to be qualified to vote.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if you agree with that. I don't imagine you agree with that.
I disagree pretty
well, I'm sure you do. I'm sure
just
you
because of my grandfather didn't have the right to vote.
Yeah.
Because of a test like that. So, that didn't make him less of a citizen.
Why didn't he get qualified?
Because he was a Native American. He was an American Indian, and they refused to pass him.
Well, that was prejudice.
That's what a test does.
Well,
if you're gonna judge that somebody's not qualified under whatever guise you want to call it, I'm sorry, it's undemocratic.
Yeah, that's why well, of course it is. I said I wouldn't agree with it, but some has to be done with people that don't know what's going on. Because you can go in there and their vote is just as strong and counts as much as for somebody that is informed and knows the situation. Okay, thank you so much.
That's part of the downside of a democratic society.
Yeah, and we could debate that, and that is a good debate, I suppose. But this other one is so
yeah. What you're talking
no-brainer.
about has nothing to do
It's
with
a no-brainer, and
Sure.
it looks like a ploy to get the bigger part of this
Absolutely.
that should really be considered.
Absolutely.
Just kind of toss that. All right, we'll take a little break, and up next, Brad and Josh will be here telling you what it takes to become a pilot from Ocala Aviation Flight School on their show, Winging It. We'll be right back.
Have a good day.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
ABC News Now. I'm Karen Chase. Under the cover of darkness and the protection of a heavily armed convoy, the marathon bombing suspect was moved from a Boston hospital to a federal prison infirmary 50 miles away.